Pressing buttons is some of the most fun you can have while playing fighting games. The serotonin released in pushing them is why these games are enjoyable for a casual crowd. However, just letting moves fly out without a plan isn't going to win you any games in a competitive setting, on or offline. If you want to be better, you'll need to up your game plan. I'm sure you've all heard of the archetypical button masher, someone who's pressing everything non-stop from before the round even starts. I'm sure some of you are that person. A lot of people are. Learning when to press buttons is the first step to understanding the flow of Street Fighter 6. It's the first step out of the quote-unquote casual shadow and onto the road to becoming a true novice of the game. We all gotta start somewhere, right? Welcome to the dojo. My name is YohDood. In this video I'm going to cover buttons and when to press them. Buttons, as a term in fighting game, and more importantly for the use of what we're talking about in this video, is any action a player can perform in a round that requires them to press an attack command. So obviously that means your basic normals, standing, crouching, special input normals, and aerials, but also includes your specials, supers, drive rush, drive impact, and throws. This does not include acts of walking, blocking, jumping, dashing, or crouching because you don't need to press a button to do those. Generally speaking, you should only press a button when doing so will benefit you somehow. Slam dunk on that, dude, just end the whole video there, right? Of course, there's a lot more to it than that. Here are a few questions you can ask to help you decide if you should press buttons at all. Every button should be used to either apply pressure, punish the opponent, or gather data, which is essential for winning any competitive fighting game. If I'm at mid-screen and whiff a standing heavy kick, what does my opponent do? Do they crouch block? Do they dash back? Do they try to punish it? If so, what button did they use? Will my opponent anti-air me if I jump at them? Well, maybe we won't jump in unless there's a really good reason to. Does my opponent use an invincible option on every wake up? Try baiting that out or throwing your opponent more. Data gives you the tools you need to understand your opponent, and that data will give you an idea so that you can devise a game plan that will win you the round. But here's the thing. Your opponent will also be trying to gather data on you at the same time, so you need to be wary about what they are doing and what they're learning from you. As an example, maybe you don't anti-air the first jump in to make them feel like that's a safe option, and then punish them every other time they jump in at you. Advantage is a bit of an abstract concept in Street Fighter and isn't always true. Being plus doesn't always mean you have an edge over your opponent. However, being in an advantageous position does increase the likelihood that you'll press buttons. Getting a hard knockdown like throws or sweeps, cornering your opponent, and using drive rush and drive impact correctly are the main ways to gain advantage over your opponent. That being said, however, the advantage isn't something you get to keep. You only get it for the next moment in the fight, so you need to know what you'll do next because if you don't do anything, you lose your advantage. Your turn ends and you start over in neutral. Not that that's the end of the world, but giving up your advantage without fully capitalizing, or capitalizing at all, could spell disaster for you at some point in the round. Imagine a line of squares in a row. The middle square is neutral. Every match begins. The square to either side of neutral is either advantage or disadvantage. In advantage, it's now your turn to apply pressure and try to get in with that sick setup you've been labbing for hours. When you're at a disadvantage, it's maybe the worst possible time to press anything. Trust your defense and get yourself back to a neutral position. The far squares are danger and safety. Once you've taken advantage and taken full control of the round, it's time to play safe. Don't go in, parry all incoming projectiles, and just wait for your opponent to do something punishable, and punish it. On the other end of that argument, playing in safety might be the best time to take the most risks, but you also risk losing that safety. When you're in danger, it's easily the time most players will hit the panic button. I want to encourage you to avoid that at all costs. Play with caution, find an escape as soon as possible, but don't get reckless while trying to do so. It's important to understand what you could lose if the button you press doesn't work the way you intended. Are you willing to eat the combo your opponent will get for blocking your unsafe setup on wake up? Do you even know how much damage you could take from it? As I mentioned earlier, it could be worth it to do some unsafe things to see how your opponent reacts to you early in the set. You want to see exactly what moves they use to punish, how much damage you took from it, and if your opponent puts you in disadvantage. If you're not willing to eat the percent, maybe don't throw out the move. Or do, I'm not your dad. No game of Street Fighter is won without risk, but they can be won with educated, calculated risk-taking that will set you up to win the current round. The way James Chen puts it, you need to identify your character's pet moves, or buttons you're more likely to press than others. If you play with modern controls, these moves have been chosen for you in a manner of speaking. The idea is to lower the choice of attacks to make decision making as easy as it can be. I'll link you to the full first attack video in the description, but here are the cliff notes. You should focus on 4 to 5 moves. You should pick a fast light, a good medium, a beefy heavy, a special move, and a move to use in Drive Rush. This practice is good for helping you quickly understand what moves are good for all characters, not just your own. Your pet moves will give you an understanding of what works in every situation to build your muscle memory as you play over time. Feel free to change your pet moves as you go on. Chances are you'll find a better option as you grow as a player. Congrats! Your setup landed you another hit. What now? I think that ultimately depends on what your goals are for the setup to begin with. For example, with Manon, I want to land a command throw or a combo into her hit throw to level up my metal rank so all future command grabs deal even more damage. But my game plan doesn't stop there because I know the higher my metal rank is, the less my opponent will want to take another throw. With that knowledge, I gather data to see what they will do if I attempt another grab. Typically, they will jump or just wildly mash lights. Jumping can be answered with crouching heavy target combo, putting them not only back on the ground, but right in range of another throw. Honestly, it's a weakness of mine at the moment to recognize the mashing, but while writing this video, I thought about this perfect analogy for it. My grandparents always used to tell me that you can't listen when you talk, and I think the same applies to blocking. Can't block if you're pushing buttons, right? I record most of my progress live on Twitch at twitch.tv/YohDood. Drop a follow, please. We don't have much of a consistent schedule at the moment due to my job, but we plan to be live most weekends. At the end of the day, learning when to press buttons and what buttons to press and when to press them all just takes time. The more you play, the more you'll understand specific matchups and situations. Be sure to practice, play games against other players, and then practice some more. Learn from every mistake, and you're bound to make less of them. Lab out specific moments and get an understanding of what to do against the moves you lost to in the round prior. Find answers for them, and come back stronger. That's all I've got for this one. I'm YohDood. Thank you so much for coming to the dojo. Please subscribe. I do tips, replay analysis, and there's even more to come. The journey to mastery is long, but it doesn't need to be lonely. Until the next video, remember to keep your fists up and hold forward.